No, it was excuse me. It was very good. Hey guys, sorry. I have my producer in my ear, and he's saying, "Well, what did you have for supper?" It's sausage and biscuit. It's what we do in South Georgia. We have sausage and biscuit and macaroni and cheese, and not exactly the most healthy meal tonight for yours truly. But that's okay. We eat healthy, but it's been a kind of a coolish day today, and every now and then, supper for our breakfast for supper is pretty good. I don't know if you do that where you live, but we do that in the South sometime. How you doing? Good to have you with us today on today's sports report on UGA Football News on Facebook and Instagram. Our program is brought to you by Southeast Mortgage, the official home loan lender of the Georgia Bulldogs. And I guarantee you, a lot of folks at Southeast Mortgage, they dig into some, sausage and biscuit and ham gravy and biscuit and gravy and eggs and bacon every now and then. But they're good folks. Southeast Mortgage, the official home loan lender of the Georgia Bulldogs. I was reading somewhere where the normal family will live in like 10 or 15 different places, in the lifetime of a particular family. So that's a lot of moving around. And sometimes, it's a chore when you go to buy a home or sell a home. It's a chore. You gotta fill out all these forms and do all this, that, and the other. Well, the good folks at Southeast Mortgage know it's a chore and it's their job. They will help you they'll do everything they can to help you when it comes time to finance or refinance your home, to do all that needs to be done to make sure the process is smooth and easy, and that you are satisfied and you get what you want when it comes time for your home. And so check them out, Southeast Mortgage, the official home loan lender of the Georgia Bulldogs, southeastmortgage.com/UGA. Well, here we are. We're just a few days away from the big one, the game between the University of Georgia and the University of Alabama. Now, every night this week, I've been working overtime. Well, not exactly overtime, but because, someone has said, if you love what you're doing, you never work a day in your life, right? And I love what I'm doing with our program and talking about the University of Georgia. And so, but every night this week at 7 o'clock, we're gonna dip in here, have some fun. Well, thank you, Terry. You want my hat? I don't know where this one came from. I have a collection of hats, Georgia hats, and Atlanta Braves hats, and golf hats, and hunting hats, and this hat and that hat. I don't know exactly where this one came from, but it's a fitted hat, and it fits me really well. So thank you very much. But anyway, um, here we are. We're just a few days away from Georgia and Alabama. Now, if you want to make a comment about my hat or about the game or about anything else, you can jump in there, put your comment in the chat section, in the comment section, and we'll see it. And if you have a question, you can ask us. We may not know the answer, but we'll do our very best to sound like we do know the answer. Hey, James, what's going on? Go Dogs. Absolutely. So here we are. The game is coming up this Monday at 8 o'clock on ESPN. And so we'll have Fowler and Herb Street on the, behind the mics for the game. And that's all right. They do a good job. Physicality, Herb Street, they'll do a good job. Chad Buchanan, go Dogs. Appreciate it. Let's see, Don Griffin. There you go. And let's see, Chad Buchanan. There you go. So the game coming up 8 o'clock on ESPN. I wonder, I need to check this. I wonder if they're going to do the SEC feed again, with the Georgia announcers. I don't know. I'll have to check that out. That was on the SEC network, which is a part of ESPN. Tommy Harris from Ormond Beach, Florida. Hey, Tommy, how you doing? We love Florida. We go down to Florida. Florida is open for business, as they say. So good to have you with us, Tommy. And we have Philip Thornton Jr. Hey, how you doing? Let's see. The game's coming up. Now, the game will be played at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis, Indiana. So you got two deep South schools going to the Midwest to play in the national championship game. Lucas Oil Stadium, never been in the stadium, but I understand it's a beautiful stadium. It's a relatively brand new stadium, or a relatively new stadium. That's where the Indianapolis Colts of the NFL play. And so Lucas Oil Stadium now it does have a retractable roof that can be closed when weather conditions are not the greatest. And the forecast for this coming Monday, the latest forecast is for a high of 23 degrees. It'll be cooler than that at game time. Winds up to 12 miles per hour. So you can pretty well be assured that the retractable roof for Lucas Oil Stadium will be closed for the game this coming Monday night. Now, the College Football Playoff National Championship game in its current bracket style format has been played since 2014. Georgia has made one prior appearance in the CFP championship game. That was in 2018. I hate to bring it up. Sorry. Sorry. It is a torturous thing for Georgia Bulldog fans to remember. But that was the game in which Georgia lost in overtime 26-23. And we kind of blew it. Georgia has two national championships in school history, the most recent coming in 1980. And my producer said we need sporting my G gear in Alabama, loud and proud. You go, Don. You go, Don. Absolutely. Let them know who you are. Let's go, Georgia. Who is the home team? Yeah, that's an interesting question. I don't really know who would be considered the home team. It's a neutral site, so would they have a home team? I don't know. Alabama has appeared in 5 previous times in the current CFP championship game. The Crimson Tide own a 3-2 record in the championship game. Alabama claims 18 overall national championships in school history, the most recent coming last year when Alabama beat Ohio State. In the unlikely event he is needed, would Brock Vandagriff be available to play? Yeah, he would be. Now you hope you don't see any of that. You hope Stetson Bennett plays the entire game, because if Stetson Bennett plays the entire game, that means Georgia is doing well. When you bring in a quarterback, it's either because of injury or your team is way under behind and they need to do something to catch up. So you don't want to see anybody coming off the bench at quarterback. It's just the way it is. And Simmons was not offside. And to this day, he declares he was not offside. In fact, I think on his Instagram page or Facebook page or something like that, he has that loud and proud. He was not outside. Georgia currently is a 3-point favorite. I heard JT was having some problems. Now, I have not, I spent a lot of time researching a lot of stuff today. Didn't see anything about JT having some problems. You may have some inside information I don't have, but hadn't seen that. Georgia currently a 3-point favorite. I was going to look at the last 4 games. Georgia has lost 7 straight games to Alabama. I was going to look at the last 4 games, but I decided against it. It's too painful. It's just too painful. Of course, we know the last game, the 2021 SEC championship game. Just a couple of weeks ago, Georgia goes up 10-0. Alabama goes on a 38-7 run. Georgia loses 41-24. So there you go. Now, our crack staff has identified 4 key matchups for the game this coming Monday. So see if you agree with these. We have a crack staff. We do have good guys working for us, and they do a good job, and they love it. They love what they do. So we've identified 4 matchups that we think are absolutely key for the game on Monday night. Last 3, that's true. You're absolutely right, Don. The last 3. Yeah, I know. Compare and contrast Roquan and Nakobe. Um, for me, they're different, but they're similar. Different body types. Nakobe, I think, is a little thicker and a little more muscular. Roquan is a little, he's still a man, but a little leaner and maybe a tad faster than Nakobe. If I had to choose between Roquan Smith and Nakobe Dean, I'd choose them both. I'd say I want them both on my team. They're great players. Nakobe's going to be a good NFL player, no doubt about that. Roquan, we all know what he does. Did at Georgia and is currently doing with the Chicago Bears. So we've identified 4 key matchups. See if you agree with these. Here's the first one. Can Georgia's offensive line control Will Anderson and the Alabama rush? The Alabama defensive rush. Can Georgia's offensive line control Will Anderson? Now, Will Anderson is a man. Had a great season. Is having a great season. Will Anderson currently has 17 and a half sacks among his 33 and a half tackles for a loss. Both of those lead college football. And the question is that we've identified. The question is, can Georgia's offensive line control Will Anderson and the Alabama rush? Now, Georgia's offensive line played very great against Michigan. Jamari Sailor had a great game against Michigan, shutting down Aiden Hutchinson in the semifinals. So very good for Jamari in that game. So here that's what we're doing. So that's the first key matchup. Can Georgia's offensive line control Anderson and the Alabama rush? Let me get to some of these. Roquan was more dominant. Yeah, that you could say that. You definitely could say that. Okay. Okay. There we go. Here's the second key matchup we've identified. Can Georgia take advantage of the vulnerabilities Alabama has shown in their secondary all season? In the Tide secondary, cornerback Josh Jobe, their best cornerback and probably the best member of the defensive backfield for Alabama, has been lost for the rest of the playoffs with a foot injury. Jalen Armour Davis has been dealing with a hip problem. He might play Monday, probably will play, but he will be limited from his normal ability. So this leaves freshman Kool-Aid McKinstry. By the way, that's not his given name, but he adopted it. He took that name, Kool-Aid McKinstry. Back up Kyrie Jackson. They will be Alabama's main quarterbacks. So if Georgia can hold off Anderson and the Alabama rush, can Stetson Bennett and the Bulldog receivers take advantage? That's the second key matchup we have identified in this game. Now, against Alabama, Brock Bowers had 10 catches for 139 yards in the SEC championship game. And in the Orange Bowl, James Cook had 4 catches for 128 yards. So there you go. So that's the second matchup. Here's the third matchup we have identified as key to the game on Monday night. Yeah. Yeah, Georgia's defense. Yeah, that's true. That's true. I agree with you. Bowers' injury, Jason's wanting to know about that. Did see a report today. He's had a shoulder issue. In fact, he's had it for several games. He tweaked a little bit of his shoulder and something else in the Orange Bowl, but from all the reports is he's good to go. He's 100%. But he has had a shoulder issue that he's been dealing with. Here's the third matchup we have identified. Can Georgia's defensive front win in the trenches against Alabama's offensive line? Alabama's offensive line, they came into that SEC championship game. They came into that SEC championship game being maligned viciously, Alabama's offensive line. But then they played the game of their life, the best game of the season for that offensive line against the Bulldogs. Here's case in point. The Bulldogs defense has 45 sacks this season. The SEC title game was the only one in which Georgia did not have a sack. So there you go. Alabama's offensive line did great. But in the Orange Bowl, Jordan Davis and the rest of the Georgia defensive team reverted back to regular season form against Michigan. So that's we have identified this. Can Georgia's defensive front win in the trenches against Alabama's offensive line and put pressure on Bryce Young? Auburn did it, had 7 sacks against Bryce Young the week before the SEC championship game. We have to jam. Yeah, that's true. That young man can fly. So let's see. We got the Ferguson household jumping in here. Yeah, that's true. Let's see. All right. Here's the fourth. Here is the fourth matchup we have identified as key to the game on Monday night. Can Stetson Bennett have the game of his life and hang in there with Bryce Young in quarterback play? Bryce Young, a former 5-star recruit, winning the Heisman Trophy in his first year as the starting quarterback for the University of Alabama. Stetson Bennett, a former walk-on, now a starter for Georgia, obviously. In the SEC championship game, Young had 421 yards passing, 461 total yards in a 41-24 win. Bennett had a decent game in the SEC championship game, completed 29 of 48 passes for 340 yards, 3 touchdowns. But those 2 interceptions did hurt. So those are the 4 matchups that we have identified. And if they go Georgia's way, Georgia will win the game. Can Georgia's offensive line control Alabama's rush? Will Anderson and the rush. Can Georgia take advantage of Alabama's vulnerabilities in the secondary? Can Georgia's defensive front win in the trenches against Alabama's offensive line? Can Stetson Bennett, in some way, somehow, some fashion, at least stay pretty close to even with Bryce Young as far as the game is concerned? So that's what we have, what we identified. Don says our secondary has to tighten up. Yep. I agree with you 100%. A couple of other things. We thought we'd go back to and look at some interesting facts about Georgia and Alabama. Here's some interesting facts about Georgia and Alabama, the history of Georgia and Alabama in football. Did you know that the 1960 game between Alabama and Georgia was the first game to ever be broadcast on ABC? How about that? Chris Schenkel. Now, if you remember the name Chris Schenkel, you're a pretty good dude. He was one of the lead announcers for ABC back in the day. I remember. So the 1960 game between Georgia and Alabama was the first game broadcast on ABC. In fact, it was the season opener for both teams in 1960. Georgia was ranked number 13. Alabama was unranked. The game was at Legion Field in Birmingham. Alabama scored 21 points in the second quarter to go on and beat Georgia in that game in 1960. Georgia averted a shutout when quarterback Fran Tarkenton threw a touchdown to Dan Davis late in the fourth quarter to prevent the shutout, making the final score 21-6 in 1960. That was the first game broadcast on ABC. Who was the Oklahoma coach? Bud Wilkinson. Chris Schenkel and Bud Wilkinson. You say, wow, you're old. Yeah, I remember that. Now, so the 1960 game, Georgia was upset by Alabama. Let's fast forward to 1965. Some interesting games between Georgia and Alabama. I hate to say it. I remember this game. Georgia upset Alabama in the 1965 season opener. The defending national champion Crimson Tide entered the season opener in Sanford Stadium with a 5-game win streak over Alabama. However, the Bulldogs jumped out to a 10-0 second quarter lead with a 37-yard Bob Etter field goal and a 55-yard pick six by George Patton off of a Steve Sloan pass. We're going old school. The Crimson Tide retook the lead at 17-10 in the fourth quarter, thanks to touchdown runs by Sloan and Steve Bowman. Georgia then scored late in the fourth quarter when quarterback Kirby Moore, there you go, threw a pass to end Pat Hutchinson, who pitched a lateral to running back Bob Taylor. That was the old, the pitch and lateral play. And Taylor ran 73 yards into the end zone. Moore hit Hutchinson for a 2-point conversion. Georgia won that game. Alabama went on to win the national title with a finishing 9-0-1 in the season. Georgia finished 6-4 in 1965. And I hate to bring this up. Alabama's 2008 win over Georgia launched the Saban era in Tuscaloosa. In his first season in 2007 in Tuscaloosa, for Nick Saban, he was 7-6. The next year, 2008, Alabama was ranked number 8. They were 4-0, ranked number 8 in their showdown with number 3 Georgia in Athens. And Alabama went on to win that game 41-30. Remember this game. Alabama went on to 12-0 in regular season, losing to Tim Tebow and eventual national champion Florida in the SEC championship game. Georgia finished 10-3 in 2008. But that started Nick Saban's domination to of college football. I'm trying to catch up with my stuff here. Okay, we got some coaches getting in here. Let me get to where I was. Where were we? Old producer, where were we? Oh, there we are. You want to get to this one? Okay. Have to put Bennett in better situation so he does not have to win it. No. Okay, I got you. James Smith, we have to find a way to change the looks that we show. Okay. Our good friend from the Ferguson household says Alabama. I see, rat poison. You know what? Yeah. Okay. 1895, Alabama and Georgia played for the first time in Columbus, Georgia, and Georgia won 30-6. How about that? Now, I was not at that game. I don't remember that game. What do you think, Pickens? Hey, we got the weapons. Georgia has the weapons to win this game. There is no doubt about that. And I look for Pickens to have really a good game. So that's a little of the history of Georgia and Alabama. Just a couple other things here. The Caleb Williams story. Georgia does appear to be emerging as the landing spot for Oklahoma Sooners star freshman quarterback and former elite 5-star recruit Caleb Williams, who took over as the starting quarterback for Oklahoma this season after Spencer Rattler had a tough time. Rattler now at South Carolina. Caleb Williams surprised Oklahoma by entering into the transfer portal. And so he is in the transfer portal. Now, the dude, and I forgot his name, from Central Florida had committed to UCLA, and now he's flipped to Oklahoma. There's a possibility Caleb Williams could go back to Oklahoma. But here is the element of the story that you may not have thought about. And it kind of came out today. It sounds like NIL, name, image, and likeness deals. That's a thing that college players can do now. They can sign contracts and make money off their name, image, and likeness. Okay. It sounds like Name, image, and likeness deals, NIL deals are going to play a major factor in where Williams goes next. And there is now a rumor of a huge NIL deal for Caleb Williams at Georgia that is already in the works. So you could see Caleb Williams, who started at quarterback for Oklahoma, in the quarterback room next year at the University of Georgia. Oh, you got Vandergriff, you got Gunnar Stockton, you got these other guys coming in with. Oh yeah, Gabriel, that was his name. That's not the Angel, but that was the quarterback at UCF that went to first UCLA, and now is going to Oklahoma in the portal. I may go in the portal myself. You know, see who wants to claim me. I don't know for what. I don't know. Oh, and Ferguson says he's going to Penn State. Okay, show me the money. I think is what we're talking about. A few of the other potential landing spots that were mentioned thus far for Williams out of the portal include Clemson, USC, where his former coach went, Florida, Auburn, LSU. And going back to Oklahoma also look. I don't know.